What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Man, that was like a quick fire. Boom, 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 boom. I was talking to TikTok before we went live, and then obviously then flicked into the live here on YouTube. So we are a little bit early. I didn't realize what the time was. So we are just a few minutes early, but hey, it's fine. It gives us the opportunity just to kind of chat and see how everybody is and hope everybody is doing well. Like I said, it's a pretty interesting day out there in crypto land. And yeah, I was just saying, Shane in the building. What's going on, Shane? I definitely expected us to go to Goblin Town today. I was convinced of it. I even had the market shorting. I was like, yep, we're going to Goblin Town. You know, markets didn't open very well. Asia held up. European markets dumped. I was like, yep, we're cooked here. We're so cooked. I think at one point, it was like 2.5% down or something crazy. And then it's just sort of come all the way back up. Sitting currently just under 64,500. However, be very mindful of where we are right now. And I know that, you know, lots of people will be like, oh, no, 2 minutes, fine, we're going up. I just wouldn't be that sure just at the minute. So anyway, I want to get into it. I want to get into some conspiracy theories this evening. That's not just, did we land on the moon or did the Titanic sink itself? Let's talk about what's going on with Jane Street, how it's affecting the market. Let's talk about short-term holders. I've got some pretty interesting charts to show you guys as well that we're going to get into. All at the very start of the stream. And then maybe, and I don't know what time the Trump address for the State of the Union is. I'm not sure. If it goes live while we're live, maybe we'll dive into it and see what's going on. By the way, I don't think it's going to be anything exciting. And I've seen loads of stuff been like, oh no, Trump's going to announce like, you know, crypto this and he's not. All right, let's just not kid ourselves. There's no way that he's going to announce anything like that. So, you know, worth just sort of noting, I guess. And then we'll talk a little bit more about this Iran-USA concern because it is a little bit of a concern. Also, new exchange partner, Weex. Check out the link in the description. They've got an insane offer. More on that a little bit later into the stream as well. So lots to talk about, lots to get into. I didn't finish my tea in my Christmas mug, so you will have to bear with me. But let's do it. Let's get into it. Casey, what's going on? The best moderator in town. Good to see you, buddy. Let's get into the price, the charts, and fundamentally, let's try and understand what is going on out here. And more, you know, I guess to the degree of what do we need to be aware of. All right. So hopefully you guys can see that on TikTok. I think you can because I have like a sneaky phone here that I can watch as well, just to make sure that what I'm putting out there into YouTube land actually is worthwhile looking at. So yeah. Any news on these accounts on tweets or messages that Trump is supposed to have been deleted? Well, there was quite a bit about it today, but you know, I'm just not like convinced it's anything worthwhile. Yeah, I'm just not convinced that it's anything worthwhile personally. And yeah, I mean, allegedly Eric Trump deleted loads of his tweets, but they're still all on there. Will It Be Financial still on there? So I'm not in a world that we're stressing it right now. So. Anyway, with that being said, let's dive into it. Beebs in the house. Magic Craig, what's going on? Selmo, the legend. Mark Pierce. Welcome, Mark. Mark's watching from South Aussie. Let's get it, baby. Welcome in, Matthew. What's up? Mafara. Welcome. All right, good to see you guys. Don't forget, as always, hit the like button and the subscribe button. If you're brand new here as well, do definitely consider joining our totally free Discord. It's so worth it. And yeah, there's loads of stuff going on in there as well. So does this mean we ain't going to have get all-time high season? Well, I mean, yeah, is the short answer. But as I said yesterday, and you can't take it as gospel or facts, just opinion. is that I do think we're back above six figures by the end of the year. That's just my personal opinion. This is not tailored financial advice to you, but it is my personal opinion. Okay, so let's dive into the charts. Let's try and understand what's going on. Let's absolutely play the thesis out that everything's on track. And as much as people, I got a couple of DMs today, and I don't often share this sort of stuff with you guys where, you know, people will send me like a random DM or whatever. But yeah, I got quite a few DMs today, and they were like, you shouldn't say that we're going down because you are making the crypto market go down and you don't know what you're talking about. You think that the market's going down and you're wrong. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, if I'm wrong, don't listen to me. Like, I don't need people to be like, oh, too bad. I want to prove you wrong. Like, I'm cool with being wrong. Trust me. I am very cool with being wrong. My spot bags in certain positions are still there. And actually, I'm just looking to trade this opportunity. So I don't care right now. Like, I 100% would like to be wrong. However, I don't think we are. Anyway. So what do we get with BTC? Obviously, we're sort of ignoring this end here because that is just what it is. This is the capitulation down from obviously that high range of around $90,000. You can't sort of hang on to that. It is what it is. This then becomes the new range here. So, you know, this is kind of what we're interested in. And more importantly, we're interested in this as well because this is ultimately where our price targets are. And like I said, I put it in the Discord last night. You know, my long trade was set. Now, I have most of it set, but I was really like go time, you know, 60,000, just above 60,000. I was like, yep, we are heading down there. I mean, look at this capitulation that we see here in the market. There was a real push down, real bad, man, that I thought we were definitely going to head sort of further down here, but we didn't quite get it. You can see there, look, this is kind of where we just sit over the course of the week. Now, what's interesting is this particular price line that I drew, or we drew the other night. So 64,423. Again, a very interesting price line. Historical, actually, if you go back on, you kind of go back over the moons that if we extend this out, by the way, then this is kind of where we get some of these price lines from. But look at that. Look at how crazy that line is that we've gone across. Again, you can see all the way back here to 2024, where it was a resistance line. And actually, once we broke to the upside, we did actually print significant highs. Look at this. Became support, resistance became support, resistance became support. So even if you go back to 2024, it gives us an idea of like this line being a pretty critical level right now, which is why I think, you know, price has respected this on the short time frame. So again, just giving you an idea of kind of where and how we're sort of pricing some of these particular lines in, because so many people will just be like, this is the line, watch out for the line. Then, but yeah, that's kind of why we're doing it. So as much as we're looking at this in a micro sense, you're absolutely in a world where there is a bigger party to play here, and this is kind of aligning perfectly. Now, what's super interesting here, by the way, is the respect on this line here. So two things. We could see this go lower. The next price target that I think we sit at, or certainly that could give us a reversal in price, would be around $64,000. That would be pretty much the 20-day EMA here on the 1 hour chart. So you can see that there's quite a few in terms of the prime oscillator is telling us, look, upside momentum is with us, but this could easily swap right now. So you can see here that we're in a uptrend, particularly on the oscillator down here. And we actually did get a potential reversal coming in here on this point as well. So not super crazy, but a little bit. And then when you just look at this from a basic functioning TA perspective, like I said, I'm not here to tell you that I'm the biggest TA guy in the world. I'm not here to be like, oh, TA changes the world, right? Changes the world. It's the way forward. And if you don't do it, you're a noob. Like, I'm not here to say that because I don't necessarily believe that. And so therefore it wouldn't be right of me to be like, you know, talking nonsense really. But what you've got here is real obvious structure. So, you know, you get the low that comes in, you then get the lower high, you then get the lower low, the lower high again, you then get the lower low. The only thing we didn't get, I guess, which you'd kind of do, well, you'd kind of be like, that's the lower low, isn't it? And then you get another lower high. So we're very much downtrending. And there's no way to kind of fluff that, change that, tell it any other way. It's very much a downtrending pattern right now. Again, even when you look at it. And then even if you were to take, say, just as an average view of a potential descending wedge pattern, you know, you're getting this kind of real obvious pattern playing out again, which we talked about yesterday. The wick up, the wick down, you get the wick up again, the wick down, the wick up. And so you expect, my opinion, we come down again, 62,000. We may get a little bit more of a bounce. And then I think we start to get down into the price range we're looking for that buy. So again, these are very obvious patterns. Now, the other thing you could argue, and just again, you're sort of trying to break down these short time frames to understand where the bigger time frames come in. But if you just take out, what do we see here? And again, this is a really obvious pattern that we've talked about loads on the channel. We normally talk about it on a broader scale, but look at this. What do you see here? The very obvious W pattern, break to the upside, 50-day EMA on the 1 hour chart, rejection, and down we go. Generally speaking, how these work on a broader scale. Go up a little bit higher. Again, pattern plays out pretty much to the money. 12-hour chart, you start to get this, like, I don't know what you call this, like elongated double bottom. The M pattern that we sort of talked about, you probably have to just discard that. Maybe go up another time frame to the daily time frame, for an example. And again, what have we said? M patterns tend to be very, very bearish indeed. You know, and that's kind of where we get to. So, you know, we're definitely not in a great place. And so then, you know, people will say, well, the reversal's coming to come in. It's fine. Like, this is the bottom. My opinion, by the way. All right. Just my opinion. We've talked about this a number of times. So I'm going to back it up with some facts here because, again, it's easy for me to come in here and go, oh, I think we're pretty bearish and I think we're going to zero. All right. By the way, I don't think we're going to zero. I just think that we're going to see some further push downs in the market. But yeah, Casey says tap, share, repost, and follow 2bits free Discord. See, Casey knows what's up. That's why he's one of the best moderators out there. We'll talk about some news for Zebek, not Zebek. Yeah, Zebek, and also some Canton news, Craig. So yeah, I don't know if you sold yours yesterday or not, but we'll talk about some Canton news. Could be pretty interesting. FYI, I'm trying, Tim. We're trying to keep plugged in here to the markets for sure. So anyway, M pattern playing out pretty interesting here. Again, very much a bearish setup on here. So we can kind of look at this from a technical standpoint. You look at it on the weekly, it's awful. All right. Even on the weekly, by the way, you could argue you have a very obvious, well, it's not that obvious actually, but left shoulder, head, right shoulder, ish. You know, I mean, you're clinging on straws. Generally speaking, bearish pattern from that breakdown, and even the kind of control line would have been here, which we got the breakdown. So, you know, very much bearish right now. Here's the key line that we're looking at. My personal opinion, and I said this 3 days ago when we were live on Sunday night, we've lost the 200 EMA. We're absolutely into Goblin Town. Like, this is absolutely where, I don't think I can put a little, like, let me see. Is there any kind of weird little character we can put on there? Like a goblin? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Oh, emojis. Oh, maybe we can. Is there a goblin on here? Anyone know? Oh, there, look. Yes. Yes. Goblin Town. There we go, everybody. That's where we're going. All right. That is where we're going, into the world of Goblino Town. And for some reason, he's upside down. There we go. All right. So everyone knows now that's where we're going. All right. Goblin Town. I think it's just worthwhile having there. So yeah. And then this is obviously the line we're looking for. So shorter time frames at the 1 hour and 30 minute. Definitely telling us that, look, this reversal, again, my view, next price target, 64,071. If we break below this, could be a great short opportunity. You'd argue even the bottom here, which is, again, I tried to short this market earlier and just got absolutely nuked on market open. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Make sure you got stop losses in, all that good stuff. Definitely worthwhile. By the way, link in the pinned comment is going to take you over to Weex.com. where you get a very special bonus for signing up under the official 2bit Crypto account, by the way. Again, we've just signed up with these guys. They've got some insane stuff going on. You're going to get some insane deposit bonuses, trade bonuses, you name it. We got you covered. And I definitely would recommend heading over to Weex. We're also going to be integrating their D-app into our Discord, which makes life even easier. Which is super bullish as well. So I really like the platform. Lots of big markets, traders, or you name it, they're on that platform taking a look at what's going on. So if you're interested, head over to Weex, get signed up. They've got some insane bonuses, all your favorite cryptocurrencies, everything you're going to need. I definitely recommend it. And like we said, we've got some pretty cool giveaways, bonuses, all sorts of crazy stuff going on as well. So highly recommend going and checking them out for sure. All right. Link in the description. Okay. So, given the fact we've just sort of talked about this, and given the fact we are sort of where we are with this kind of pattern, let's back it up with some statistics. Let's back it up with some facts. Okay. Like I said, it's dead easy to be like, well, you know, we think we're going to go to zero. Oh my God, I pressed the wrong button. We think we're going to go to zero. Nothing's really changing. Let's back it up with some real cold-blooded facts. So, again, bull bear market cycles, 2015, 1,064 days for the bull market, 2018, 1064, 2022, 1064, assuming that they all take the same point. Again, I can't believe for a second that you have 3 bull markets that last to the day at the exact same time. However, they're already 2 months into the bear market, of which generally lasts 364, depending on when you take the day from. If you were asking me, I think we're a little bit further into the bear market versus where we sort of sit. Just my opinion. People may think I'm crazy. But like I said, that is just my view. I know I put this jumper on yesterday, everybody. I am actually going to have to take this jumper off because it is really warm again in this room. So bear with me. You guys need to face that way. Only because it's going to make it weird. And no one wants to see me take a jumper off. So bear with me 1 second while I do that. While I do that. We're back. We have got the official, crypto t-shirt on as well. All right. So we're not messing around here. We're not messing around. So, hold on a minute. I think I just put this on the wrong way. There we go. There we go. All right. That's a way better. Honestly, it's pretty warm here. I mean, maybe, look, if you did, that's a bonus. That's what I would say. An absolute bonus to you guys. But like I said, does the bear market and is the bear market going to play out? Not sure. We'll talk about some more important views. What I would say is, as per this chart, Bitcoin is the most oversold it has ever been in history. Okay, let that sink in just for a second. Saeed, my man, what's going on? Hugo's in the house. Although I don't think your name's Hugo. I think it's something else. Although Hugo Q, what's going on? 420's in the house. Well, what's going on? 420. Hashtag no nips. Get out of here. Get out of here. Hugo said that was a dead cat bounce to shake off high leverage. A lot of vector candles. There you go. There you go. I agree with you in terms of the leverage. We talked about that yesterday. I don't know what vector candles are, which might end up me being a noob. I'm not really sure, but I'm sure I'll get some research done and enlightened on that point. Nice. Okay, yeah, you jumped across from TikTok. Shout out to you, buddy. Shout out to you. So yeah, look at this. BTC is the most oversold on the RSI it has ever been. Like, that's insane to think about. And I actually saw a really interesting statistic. Now, I don't think fear and I don't think I can put this in here. It'd be good if I could. No, let me see if I can get it as an indicator. Fear and greed. Oh, here, fear and greed indicator. Okay, maybe I get this. All right. Bro, I didn't need this. Okay, all right. Well, let's just go to the weekly candles. I just want to show you something really, really quickly because, again, so many people right now are going to be freaking out about the markets. They're going to be like, oh my God, we're going to zero. I need to get rid of this Goblin Town, guys. Annoy me. Like, people are really going to be like panicking right now. And I just want to reference something really, really interesting. So right now, we are at max fear. So the fear and greed index, when you look at something like CoinMarketCap, for example, is at like 5, all right? It's like literally the worst. What's interesting is that we've got a fear and greed index at 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? So really nervous, no retail investor wants to get in. Essentially what we're saying is the market's totally cooked versus the last time that we were at this price in a cycle back here at the bull market top where we had hugely optimistic fear and greed, where actually this was like 85, 88. It's really interesting that, the difference. So when people say to us, oh, we're going to 30K, there's so much argument to say we're not. So much to argue about it. But again, this kind of tells you that if 60 to 55,000, maybe 50 if it's a bad day, wick down, ends up being the bottom. The last time we were at this kind of price range, we were insanely bullish on the market, which should give you an idea as to potentially where the markets do go in the longer term. All right. So it is kind of worth thinking about when we talk about whether we are super bearish or super bullish. All right. Definitely in my opinion anyway. Just keep you guys dialed in. Oh, come on. Okay. So that's where we sit right now. We're going to keep an eye on that chart. Interestingly enough, it is selling off. So those two were important. Remember, the most sold ever been. So why do we think it's going lower? And if you didn't catch my video that I posted earlier on that essentially is telling you that I believe this market is being manipulated, then you should go and watch it. But I think this is the blueprint right now, as per the title, the blueprint to 59,600 for the then break to the upside. Let's talk about why that is. So short-term holder, unrealized profits. These are essentially what people have in their wallets, all right? So we looked at something the other day that was the average price, okay? So we know the average price on a short-term holder now on BTC is about $78,000, okay? So we're way below that. This chart, and I'll explain it so you guys can sort of get your head around it, is that this is essentially what people have as unrealized profit and loss. Green being good, red being bad. And what you can see right now is basically anyone who's purchased BTC in 2026 is underwater. In fact, you can go all the way back to the 6th of November in 2025 that anyone as an average who bought Bitcoin is underwater. So this is bad news. Now, what do we know when we start to rally into Bitcoin bull market cycles? That this flips. Actually, we then start to see price capitulate to the upside and giving us that big momentum push. For example, you can see here back in 2020, we were massively underwater. Everyone simply got absolutely nuked on the back of this kind of, the 2019, 2018 bull market blow off top before we then skyrocket to brand new all-time highs. Okay, back there in obviously 2021 with a double peak that came in. And you can see directly that we coincide with price decline at the same time as max fear. Again, look at this. This is the FTX. This is 2017's bull market cycle top into the FTX collapse. Look how many people FOMO'd the living crap out of this particular chart, all right? They FOMO'd all the way up here, like super crazy FOMOers, and then zaboom, and down we go, particularly with the FTX crash. So what you see now, though, is less FOMO buying. Less people are underwater, and there are less people underwater right now than has been in the previous two bull market cycles, 2021, 2017, okay? Very, very obvious. Look at the difference. That doesn't mean, though, that this is going to be a shorter Bitcoin. In my opinion, though, that answers the question. Well, if short-term holders' unrealized profits and losses are actually less than we've seen and more more quickly than eradicated, well, that tells us that this was not a retail that was getting wrecked because, well, retail FOMOs, institutions buy for longer times and kind of the capital, the DCA. Do you think in a minute tag on Iran, Zach Experience 21st could be the next leg down? Yes, I definitely think the Iran thing, I'm going to talk about something that's happened, particularly with China, and how this could influence the Iran situation as well. So stick around because we're going to touch on that in a little bit. So short-term holders, unrealized profits. Now, short-term holder sell-side risk is also a pretty interesting mechanic, okay? Why? Well, this is telling us that the sentiment right now is that people are prepared to dump their bags at a loss. Like, it's even crazier than we think it is. So you have all these short-term holders in 2026 that have bought the top. They FOMO'd in. They assumed a dip was coming, but the dip kept dipping. There's a surprise. So the sell side risk actually is pretty negative. And what we want to see here, again, you can see on the charts that when we see price push up, generally speaking, we see sell side risk also generally move to the upside. For example, back here in 2024, January, you see sell side risk moves up. BTC rallies from around 52,000 to around 68K. Again, you see this happening in the last part of 2024 and then the push back to the upside here on 2025. Again, we see the price rally. By the way, BTC dropping below $64,000 would have been a great short there off the 20-day and that line. Again, key hold here. If we don't hold this line, that's a short trade all day long down to this range here at 62.9. Just my opinion, all right? Financial advice, just my opinion. So yeah, so this is kind of interesting. Okay, so let's just kind of compartmentalize. Is that a word? I think it's a word. Let's compartmentalize that what we talked about. So we know right now that short-term holders are not only underwater in terms of their purchases, but they are desperate to sell, okay? Desperate to sell. Sell-side risks up, short-term holders unrealized gains or unrealized profit and loss is negative, okay? So they are literally desperate to sell their bags. Now, you can speculate on a number of reasons why. Iran, China, US economy, Trump, whatever, right? You can speculate on loads of reasons why they may want to sell. But what's interesting, and this was one of those where you're like, oh my God, I literally know what I'm talking about. And we've been talking about this on the channel for about the last 4 weeks, and no one else is talking about it. And everyone's banging on about how they lost this and lost that, and their $1 million profits went out the window. But don't worry, it's going to be fine. No one else is actually talking about this. Look at this. This is whales and exchanges and their purchasing of BTC. Now, forget this. I looked into this, by the way, because everyone's going, oh, long, and I did as well, by the way. Long-term holders are buying lots of Bitcoin. Yeah, this is kind of an exchange treasury fund, so you kind of can't really, you got to discount this a little bit. However, if you look here, we actually have seen these are wallets that hold over 1,000 Bitcoin. Big money, okay? Whales, institutions, banks, whatever. Big money. We have not seen a negative day since the early part of January in these wallets. You would say, well, 2-bit, that's because they're not buying. No. They are buying crazy amounts of BTC. Again, forget this. They're actually buying as much as we saw back in March 2025 when Bitcoin was trading around $90,000. They are buying that much BTC. They literally see this as a dip opportunity. So think about this, okay? Let's bring it together. Short-term holders are freaking the F out. They are underwater and they are selling their bags. And long-term holders, big money is going, oh, I'll take all your Bitcoin all freaking day long. So to answer the question, then what happens next? The reality here is that, yes, we're going to go down, and people are literally misguiding people by saying that we're not. Again, this is always my opinion. You take this with a pinch of salt, go and do your own research and try and put the dots together and say, well, if short-term holders are selling, they're underwater and they're still prepared to sell, and big money is buying, I'm probably not going to sell, because that would be insane. Because eventually then what happens is sell pressure then becomes less dominant to buy pressure, and boom, off we go. We're at 80K before you even know it. And then all the short-term holders go, oh, bro, I can't believe I fucking sold. I need to buy more. And then the short-term holders come in. Before you know it, back to 100K by the end of the year. Just my opinion, all right? Just my opinion. I might be wrong. Short trade has been safe for weeks. When it flips, be ready. See, Hidden Bull knows what's up. Everyone wants to buy lower. They'll sell at a loss to buy even cheaper if the market lets them. I mean, that's also a tactic, which I don't necessarily agree with, by the way, because you end up, in my view, just really increasing your risk. But lots of people will, yes, sell underwater, assume the price is going to push down, and buy the dip. But this is where they're smart. This is why you get dead cat bounces. This is why you get relief rallies. That's just liquidity diving into the market. That's why you get big pumps on Sundays, because it's easy to move markets. So worth noting here, by the way, and again, summarizing that, short-term holders are dumping. Any pumps in the market, they dump it. Really, really interesting. You can see, look at this. Every single pump in the market dumps it. Like, it's crazy. Take today, for example, the low at 62,800. We wick back up to around 64.5. What happens? They go, yeet, get dumped on. All right, pretty interesting. Tim, the ones in this cheat of the system that get screwed by over-leveraging themselves to get ahead of it. Yeah, I mean, exactly, yeah. People need to learn patience. I mean, unless it's Piccolo, Inu, or similar, at this point, its holding is usually better. Yeah, exactly, Tim, exactly. And that's the old statement, isn't it? Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't need the money. It just means that when times are challenging, when you question everything you've done, don't allow the voice in your head to be like, hey, you need to sell your crypto because it's going in zero. All right, just my opinion. Okay, so we're going to talk specifically about somebody who just got caught doing exactly that, okay, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Okay, good. Zach XBT allegedly is going to release something February 26th. Says major investigation dropping February the 26th on one of crypto's most profitable businesses, where multiple employees abused internal data to insider trade over a prolonged period of time. Guess, well, in fact, drop in the chat what and who do you think this is. I have my opinions. I'm gonna type what I think it's gonna be about in the chat, and then all I'm gonna do is press one button so that you guys don't think I'm scamming anybody or whatever. But let me know who you think it is. Dr. Crypto says pump.fun. Wow, that would be wild, actually. I mean, that's a great fucking shout. It could be a dip opportunity on Pump Fun. Maybe it's going to zero. If I had to guess, Fat Sonic goes Coinbase, Magic Crate goes Binance. Interesting. Yeah, let me know, guys. Drop in the chat. Who do you think Zach XBT is going to release on the 26th? That's 2 days' time. We need to have a look at the macro data, by the way. I don't know if anything is coming out on that specific day, but it might be worth just to keep an eye on it. Damien in the house. What's going on, Damien? Sean's here as well. What's going on, Sean? Good to see you, man. 26 is jobless claims, Fed Bowman speech, Kansas Fed Composite Index, whatever that is. Don't really care. Panic, Tomato Peak, could be, yeah. Could be that age-old meme coin that didn't do anything. Is my internet cutting out or is it the stream? It is. Oh, no, I have dropped a few frames, actually. I've dropped 2,153 frames. Why am I dropping frames? Hold on a minute. Let me close that. Yeah, I've dropped a few frames. I don't know why. It looks okay now. It looks okay now. Stream glitching. Yeah, I think we're okay now. 2,153. Yeah, it looks okay. 4%. I don't know why, but yeah, we look okay. Okay, that's my personal opinion, by the way. That's my personal opinion. My view is Coinbase. I think it's something to do with Coinbase. They have been incredibly profitable over the last number of years, and yeah, they also have had people insider trading. So could be a pretty interesting one. Again, we could be wrong, but when you look at their, you look at their earnings numbers, pretty interesting, okay? Pretty interesting. And we've kind of looked at Coinbase numbers before as well, but total revenue $1.8 billion. Like this is the Q4 2025. Net income negative 667, adjusted net income 178 with adjusted EBITDA of 566 million, which is insane, by the way. You see, they're all at it. Everyone's at it. But you can see this in terms of their accumulation. So the trading volume's massively skyrocketing. The revenue and services revenue at $2.8 billion is pretty wild if you think about it. So that's just my opinion. Like I said, I could be totally wrong, but interesting. Interesting. If it is Coinbase, by the way, man, am I glad I don't have I tell a lie. I've got $178 worth of AIOZ over there. That's it. I am clear of pretty much every single exchange out there, with the exception of things like BitUnix, Weex, any of these kind of other trading platforms where obviously we're looking to try and grab the dip opportunity. We're looking to try and trade some of those. So yeah. Versus don't care who, I don't use either. Well, there you go. I mean, that's the best way to be. Will there be financial? Would be pretty wild if that was the case. That would be the case. Either that or I could be Trump and his sons. Yeah. Do you think Zach XBT goes after Trump? Kind of feels like that. I know Zach XBT is a big name in the crypto space, but man, don't know if you want to go after the president. But I mean, maybe it could be. We'll have to wait and see. But that's just my guess anyway. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong. I don't know. Yeah, man, my signal is. I keep wondering. Like, people keep losing the stream. I'm just losing viewers. Yeah, something's not right on the stream right now. Although 4%, so it is kind of. It's just occasionally wicking down. Sorry, Craig. Yeah, I don't know why. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Everything's fine at this end. I just think sometimes YouTube's just a bit weird. But let me exit Discord as well. Exit that. Okay. Okay, yeah, see, I'm losing. Oh, bro, come on. Why? Oh, why? Hittable, so the stream is good to go. Well, I can see it dropping frames right now. Like, literally, I've gone to 0 on my upload speed, so I don't quite know what's happening, in fairness. Something doesn't feel quite right. But I mean, TikTok looks all right. I'm not losing anything over here on TikTok, so yeah, pretty wild. I don't know why. Okay, well, we'll just have to kind of wait. We'll have to kind of just crack on and see, but yeah, for whatever reason, it's losing frames, and I don't know why. Okay. Seems fine to me. All right. Well, let's see what we get to then. So we'll see what that does. Okay. So let's talk about all this narrative then that we've got. So this idea that, well, people are manipulating the crypto market. And like I said in my recent video that I put out today, that my belief is this is all coordinated. There is a reason that they are doing it. And, you could go, oh, 2-bit, put your tinfoil hat back on. Like, what are you talking about? You're absolutely full of it. You come on these kind of journeys. But if you haven't seen it, by the way, I highly recommend going and checking it out. Obviously, it does help out. This video here, right? Again, for whatever reason, normally no one likes my videos at the minute. Don't know why, but hey, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. We're just going to keep grinding, keep putting good content out. But go and watch it. It talks about specifically what is happening and why I think it's a deliberate dump in the market, why I think it's a deliberate case of dumping this market as well. So go and check it out, okay? Definitely worthwhile. So let's talk about someone that just got caught, and that is Jane Street. Now, this has been a hot topic forever. So the view that Jane Street systematically dumps at 10 o'clock US time, dumps the market, and then slowly buys the market back up has been one of those things that's been out there forever, okay? It's been definitely something that's been on the agenda for the longest time. And now it kind of feels like they've got caught, right? Kind of feels like they've got caught. And what's even more interesting is they are now being attributed to the crash in Terra Luna. Pretty wild. But a lawsuit alleges that Jane Street Group used insider info from a Terraform intent to front-run trades during the 2022 40 billion Terra USD UST Luna collapse, profiting over $200 million. Jane Street denies all claims, calling the lawsuit baseless and blaming Terraform management for the collapse. CryptoWatch also noted patterns like this on October 10th, with $19 billion crash and reoccurring 10 a.m. Bitcoin drops sparking speculation about large market players. Now, this could be a pretty interesting narrative if you think about it. Is it going to be easy to see? Yes, this is it. And I guess the point here would be, because you've got a much more open cryptocurrency friendly administration, actually it's going to be way easier to find. So if this turns out to be true, in my personal and very small humble opinion, this absolutely could mark the bottom of the bear market. That doesn't mean that we hit, our price targets of 59, 58, $60,000, and all of a sudden we're going to skyrocket back to $80,000. That's not the case. However, in my opinion, this could be the bottom. Think about FTX, but not as bad, potentially, okay? Because I don't think Jane Street can particularly have a broader effect on the market other than maybe dumping their entire holdings, which, fine. You'd argue that somewhere like BlackRock is probably going to buy those back up as well. And I want to talk a little bit more about BlackRock and their desire and appetite to buy Bitcoin. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I was researching today the financial markets within New York and how so many of them are exiting very quickly. And what's even more interesting is where they're exiting to, which I think is very specific. Florida, Texas, as well as Miami. Lots of big tech is exiting, big finance tech, exiting New York City like crazy people, moving to very pro-cryptocurrency. Even Arizona. Many big finance and tech companies are moving to Arizona. Why? Because A, it's cheaper, and B, because they're pro-cryptocurrency. We'll talk about that a little bit more detail tomorrow. Don't forget, make sure you are here for it. It's going to be epic. Okay, so they go on to say that, the fact that we are seeing Do Kwon, I mean, it's a while since we have this chopper up in it, but, Do Kwon here definitely is a potential risk out there. But today, Jane Street is behind more than 10% of all equity trades in North America, and its trading revenue is more than double that of the world's largest hedge fund. And because Jane Street is a quantitative trading firm, not a hedge fund, it is exempt from detailed disclosure requirements, allowing Jane Street to avoid revealing its trading strategies and financial details. Interesting, right? Crypto Princess! What's going on? Where have you been for the last, 5 million years of my life? Hope you're doing well. Anyway, good to see you. I hope you're keeping well. New York has a lot of stuff going on today. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine Hidden Ball. I've seen some bits of it. I try not to get too political here on the show, but yeah, it looks absolutely wild over there. Yeah, I agree, Fat Sonic. I mean, some crazy stuff that's going on over there is insane, by the way. Totally insane, in my opinion. But anyway, what do I know about anything in life? So, but yeah, look at this. The fact that Jane Street doesn't even have to disclose what their trading strategies are is pretty wild. And then look, there's a pretty interesting article here that I thought was worthwhile just diving a little bit. But was Jane Street the secret villain behind Terra's $40 billion crypto catastrophe? Well, this is essentially what's going on. There is the official filing that has been put through in terms of the United States District Court against Jane Street. So, I mean, this could be like one of those crazy things where, the back end of it, it's like, oh, Terra Luna's absolutely back and skyrocketing. Imagine that. It'd be pretty wild if you ask me. Pretty wild. Do I think that it recovers, Luna? Nah. All right. I don't. Unfortunately. Sean, what was your question? Sorry. It just says, and when. That's all I can see, Sean. So I don't know if I've missed something, by the way. Yeah, Vern, it's not great. It is not great, but May 8th, 2022, Terraform quietly withdrew $150 million USD from Curve's 3 pool, the main liquidity venue for USD alongside USDC. It wasn't announced publicly. It was an internal defense mechanism to support the peg. Minutes later, a wallet linked to Jane Street allegedly executed the largest single UST sale in the pool's history, dumping $85 million USD. The suit claims this massive sell-off, done with advanced knowledge of the liquidity removal, was the catalyst that pushed UST below $1 and ignited the death spiral. Okay, pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting, especially when you start to kind of put it all through. The lawsuit contends the firm used this non-public information to front-run the market, unloading positions just before the full collapse, claiming it includes violations of securities and commodities law, fraud and unjust enrichment, with Sinder seeking disgorgement of profits, damage, and a jury trial. All right, so this could get wild, This could get pretty wild. As of February the 24th, 2026, the lawsuit is in its early stages with no immediate rulings expected. It revised debates from the 22 crypto winters period that saw cascading failures, including 3 Hours Capital and FTX. For investors still holding Luna Classic or monitoring crypto recoveries, this could signal potential windfalls or just another chapter in a long saga of accountability. All right. Pretty wild if you ask me. I haven't looked at, just from pure curiosity, the price of Terra Luna Classic. Anyone know? Anyone know what the price is? LUNC. Let's take it. No, come on, bro. Why have you done that? It's up 0.5%. Okay. 0.5%. Not doing anything too wild. Not doing wild. It's going to happen in Virginia too. People are to leave. That's just what happens when you... Yeah, I mean, well, when you increase taxes with like no logical sense behind increasing taxes. Like, oh yeah, like tax all the people that are paying the taxes. Like, great strategy. Anyway. So Fat Sonic says, but only people that can afford to move leave, so you end up with a state full of... I mean, that's true as well, Hidden. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That is the problem entirely. All right. So Lunar Classic not doing too much. Again, $8.6 million in volume. I mean, look, I talked about Terra Luna Classic for a long time in the era which there was opportunity in Terra Luna Classic, that there was a general sentiment that actually it could have done something. I think is fair, but you know, it's just bad news now, isn't it? Let's call a spade here. So we just get rid of that. You know, that was the initial spike, obviously then down. We got these kind of few wicks up here back in 2024. You know, this was sort of when I was talking about it all around here. This big spike back up, this kind of era was all me really. But, you know, you can't argue facts. And the facts are, it looks terrible and has no volume. So be very, very mindful of that. And actually, I think the only volume that's really going through is Binance specifically, isn't it? 1.3 million in the last 24 hours on Binance. Well, nearly 3 million, but hey. Not great. So yeah, it could be pretty wild if you ask me. Whether it plays out, Jane Street being, you know, the criminals that they may be, could signal the bottom of the market. Could signal a reversal. Let's hope so, eh? Let us hope so. Also, just FYI, Ellen Terran here sharing some pretty interesting news. The stablecoin yield fight is getting real. These are all to do with the big banks. Again, another reason why I think that this is a very orchestrating and deliberate move. Shout out to JP Morgan. And editor on, John Morgan, editor of the Crypto Wits newsletter and podcast for the generous mention yesterday's issue. You're not following, subscribe. It's all to do with stablecoin yield standoff. So exactly where we sit. By the way, that announcement for March, the White House brought draft legislative language to the closed door meeting last week. Phones confiscated at the door. In the room, Coinbase, Ripple, A166, 16Z, Blockchain Association, Crypto Council, etc. And Patrick Witt, the White House Crypto Council Executive Director. Yield on idle stablecoin balance is effectively dead. That fight is over. So this is definitely getting nearer and nearer. Keep your eyes peeled on it. All right. Also, into some other news, by the way, Wisdom Tree enabling 24/7 trading. Also, have you seen Coinbase have as well? Just saying, all right. Pretty interesting if you ask me, but yeah, look at this. Trading instant sell on tokenized money market fund powered by USDC. Oh, it's coming, everybody. It's coming. Think about that. Instant settle on tokenized money market funds powered by USDC. If you're still not very bullish on Ondo Finance, I would reconsider. And I was right for US 30 what? Longs. Oh, the 30-year, the 30-year. I haven't looked at bonds actually. What's the bond market doing today? The 30-year bonds are down, very marginally, only 0.5%. But yeah, what price do you think BTC bottoms? My view is between 55 and 60k. If people are calling 30,000, it would be an insane wick down. But yeah, 55 to 60. I've got long trades set up from about 62,000 to about 58 to cumulative to a 6-figure trade that we're going to open here on the channel. So they are in there with some margin to play, but that's my best prediction. 55, 60k between them two, right? My opinion, anyway. Okay, right. So what else we got? Wisdom Tree, we talked about that. So Iran, China, the USA. What the hell can we expect? Well, Iran nearing China's anti-ship supersonic missile deal as US carriers mass in the region. So the USS General R. Ford. We looked at that the other day. By the way, I don't know if you guys looked at this, but I did post it on one of my videos. Have you seen the size of these friggin' things? We touched on this the other day when we were live, just in terms of like what's Iran testing versus like what the US is testing. But I'm not even joking when I say, look at the size of these sodding things. These are ridiculous, okay? So the total length of the USS General R. Ford versus the USS Abraham Lincoln, two of the strike carrier groups that are currently in the Mediterranean, or sorry, in the Gulf actually. But look at that, 3.1 football fields is the USS Ford, over 6.7 Olympic swimming pools. I mean, Jesus, massive. Absolutely wild. Width of a city block. They have their own postcodes. Like, it's absolutely kind of crazy to think about. The Ford is about 14 feet longer, and they carry some pretty heavy arsenal from F-35s, F-18s, Osprey, like vertical land things. But this is kind of the headline that gets pretty tasty, and it gets pretty tasty pretty quickly as well. There was actually some posts on Twitter that said, "Hey, this is potentially what the what the Iranians are going to end up with," which I do think it's kind of wild if that was to happen, because you kind of go, you are literally you're poking the bear, and you're basically going to defend yourself with a piece of balsa wood. All right, it's not a good idea in my opinion. Okay, so you don't poke a bear unless you've got something to poke it with that is potentially going to protect you. Now I can't see these annoying. Let me just see if I can find this. There was a picture of essentially what was going to Iran, and it looked wild, by the way, but I can't find it. So apologies, everybody. Bear with me. But yeah, this could end up being pretty crazy. So Iran is nearing a deal with China to acquire supersonic anti-ship cruise missiles, a move that could significantly raise the stakes in the Middle East as US carrier group strikes and assembles near striking distance. Okay, here they are. Look, here they are. Look at these things. These things look freaking wild. TikTok, I'll move you so you can see it as well. Like, look at this. This is kind of crazy. What? So these are like anti-ship missiles. Now, I don't know if they can take out a carrier, which is kind of wild if you think about it. But yeah, I mean, who knows? But again, insane in the membrane. What this could do, by the way, is expedite any kind of idea that Trump's got of going in. If he's got any theory of going in, he's going in if he is about China. The CM-302 supersonic anti-ship missile weapon system. And I mean, ultimately, this kind of gets even worse. In my opinion, this would be another reason why you were going to get a dump in the market. The reported deal comes as President Donald Trump warns Tehran of consequences if it fails to curb its nuclear program, while the Pentagon has deployed multiple carrier strike groups in the region, the Abraham Lincoln and the USS General R. Ford. All right. So February 19th, he gave Iran 10 days to reach an agreement over its nuclear program or face potential military action. Okay, we've got about 5 days left. Again, could absolutely mark the bottom of the market. And then look, Bitcoin recovers 64k support following multi-asset market rout. Bitcoin broke below the 63,000 support level as broader Wall Street sell-off collided with mounting geopolitical tension. It is a recipe for disaster. But wherever disaster is, opportunity is not far behind. The decline blows renewed tariff threats from the US president, fueling market-wide uncertainty and retreat from risk assets. Okay, this is kind of what we saw today. This sort of sell-off on BTC, this sell-off on broader markets. What is also interesting as well, we were talking about this yesterday, was the sell-off in gold. Again, didn't break the 20-day EMA. We were talking about this yesterday. Again, silver didn't break the 20-day EMA. Again, important to think about. When we talk about these trading the 20 days EMA, and we talk about the importance of that level, then, it's kind of interesting. By the way, there's a full guide in our Discord, our premium Discord, which is yours for like $7 a month by becoming a channel member here on YouTube, that talks about how you trade the 20-day EMA. All right, really, really good, really bullish or bearish signal for any market traders. Again, become a channel member. You get absolutely access to that for free. All right, totally worth it in my opinion. Do you think BTC coming to 50k? I mean, it could wick to 50k. I don't think it comes in like ranges like you're seeing now around 65, 70k. I don't think it's that. My view, like I said, 58 to 61 is probably where I'm at. Anywhere within that range I'm cool with. Insane in the Bahrain. Cyprus Hill just brought back insane in Bahrain. Oh, Bahrain. Insane in Bahrain sounds like a better one actually. So they don't need to sink it, create a big enough wave, and it's all needed. What's that for? I mean, potentially. Ships rarely sink, they take damage and go and get repaired unless you're HMS. Well, that's true. That's true. But, I mean, it's like one of those things, isn't it? If Iran hits one of the carriers, like, it's not only just the ship's going to be like, I mean, they're both nuclear-powered ships as well. Like, you don't want them things going up. Yeah, I think we'll range down there later this year, but we'll have to see. I mean, that's true. That's true. But yeah, I thought this was interesting, this kind of idea that gold and silver hedge against risk, everything's going to be fine. Well, it's struggling to break the 20-day EMA here on the 1-hour chart. Pretty interesting. Yes, it's ranging above on the 4-hour chart. What does that tell us? On a broader scale, gold and silver tends to be moving up. They're bullish. But actually, the shorter time frames, we're actually starting to see the potential roll over, particularly in the commodities market. So interesting. To be the assuming running Trump's tariffs, does that put stimulus checks on the back burner? No, he announced them himself. He said, I don't even need Congress's approval. I'm just going to give people $2,000. Like, and what's even crazier, by the way, when you start to work some of the time scales out, and look, you can love Donald Trump, you can hate Donald Trump. People that call him thick just don't understand. By the way, I am not a, like, maxi when it comes to Donald Trump. I'm not. And I wouldn't know the first thing about running a country. I mean, maybe I could, but you get my point. But the new tariffs, so that's the 304 and 242, I think it is, tariffs. They have 150 days in which those tariffs can be implemented with no requirement from Congress. Not even like no one cares. Trump could slam 200% tariffs on everybody on those two ones, 301 and 242, right? When you go, okay, let's do 150 days from exactly where we sit right now, is where it starts to get pretty freaking interesting, all right? So let me just do this, because this is where it gets like, yeah, it's just funny, really. It's just funny, all right? So, oh, hold on a minute. I need to put it on the daily. I need to put it on the day. That's why. That's annoying, actually. That's annoying. I was like, why is it making me work so hard here? Okay. So 150 days from where we get to takes us to Friday, the 24th of July. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, too bad. Why is the 24th of July an important date? Well, because that would be about 3.5 months before midterms. When do they start talking about midterms? When do they start talking about shilling midterms? When does all the narrative start to move from midterms? About 3 months out. All right. You think that's not engineered? Think it's not engineered? Come on, bro. Like, you are absolutely off your head. You're off your head. Remember, November 2026 midterms is where it's all about. What happens? Normally, they start pushing it in and around that sort of, July time. Pretty interesting. July Bull Run Fairground, you see? There we go. Maybe. But, yeah, pretty interesting that how that could play out. So, we'll have to kind of wait and see. But, right now, Bitcoin is struggling. And again, like we said, could end up being a pretty nice short trade here if you feel it. We'll take a look at the futures markets in just a minute. But, yeah, pretty wild. So, let's bring all this together, because obviously we've gone through a lot, actually, in tonight's live stream. And try and bring this back to some sort of sense. Like, does it make sense? What's our view? So, what we can say is short-term holders continue to sell their Bitcoin. They continue to be underwater, and any opportunity of price going to the upside tends to be met with a downside push. You could argue that this is short sellers getting out, maybe trying to eke a few more dollars out of their particular trade or their particular spot buy. All right, it is what it is. What we also know that long-term holders, accumulators of over 1,000 Bitcoin, are buying at a rate of knots that we haven't seen. In fact, every single day they are buying more and more Bitcoin, and we actually have seen very little outflows since the 6th of January. It's a pretty big number. You've now got potentially Jane Street being federally investigated for fraud and manipulation of markets. Pretty crazy. There's an argument right now that you've even got large BTC Satoshi era wallets dumping huge amounts of Bitcoin. Like, however you look at this, and I'm just going to give you my view. This isn't personalized financial advice to you guys. It's just my view. I think this is a carefully coordinated and orchestrated sell-off. They are deliberately pushing market prices down in order to grab more control for less. It's as simple as that. And I think it's as obvious as we've seen, and the smart people can see it as well. Now, the caveat, if we're playing both sides of the argument, you say, this is just because of, Trump. I mean, even down to October 10th, where everything went to Goblin Town. That was a deliberate crash of the market. So, where do I sit with all of this? I'm just going to wait and see. Like, my view is that this market's going to go up. I think we go down before we go up. And that's exactly where I'm going to take my opportunity and get into the market. If you want to know more, then we'll announce it in our Discord, obviously. Keep you guys dialed in. But yeah, check it out. All right. Trump already said he only backed crypto for the extra votes. There we go. Did he actually say that? Surely that's not true. Come on. Oh, God, the Chinese missiles again. Surely that's not true. Trump's come out and gone, I only backed cryptocurrency because I wanted the votes. When they now have American Bitcoin, World Limit Financial. And let's face it, if that was the case, like, he's screwed when he's not in office. They're going to go after him. No way he said that, right? Bruh. let me just ask ChatGPT. Has Donald Trump ever come out and said that he deliberately tried to get the crypto vote by being pro-crypto but didn't really mean it? Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Let's see. You saw it live. I just can't believe. Where did you see it live, Curtis? It's literally searching everything right now. Let's see. Maybe he sends the 2,000 checks in mid-July. Stocks and crypto start to pump with a new Fed chair cutting. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's the thing. So again, you can take this as you want it. ChatGPT says this: I can't find any credible record of Donald Trump admitting something like "I only acted pro-crypto for the win" or votes. I didn't mean it. None of the mainstream coverage I'm seeing shows him saying explicitly. What's on record is him openly courting crypto voters, supporters, e.g. telling pro-crypto people they better vote for him and positioning himself as the pro-crypto candidate. And there is also commentary and industry figures arguing his pro-crypto turn is opportunistic, which, look, you can't deny that. You can't deny that. That is definitely a true fact. You know, he's netted about $1.3 billion from cryptocurrency, and it is look at Trump Memecoin. That's an extraction event for sure. He'll say whatever he gets elected, but that's their assessment, not a confession from Trump. If you want, tell me roughly when you think he might have said it, which interview, podcast time frame, and I'll try and verify the specific source. What was an interview? We'll have to have a look. We'll have to have a look and see. I wonder if Trump will talk about the car chat tonight. Yeah, I mean, people are saying that, but I don't think he will. I mean, the number of times we've been like, oh, you know, he's going to reference crypto, and I just don't think he does. What time does it start? State of the Union 2026. What time does it start? Anyone know? What is the State of the Union? Okay. The address is scheduled to start 9 o'clock Eastern time. Oh my God, it's 2 in the morning on Tuesday, typically on the House of Representatives. Bro, come on, 2 in the morning. Man, I can't do that. I've got work. Oh, that's so annoying. I mean, maybe I watch an hour of it. Man, I was hoping to be live. Coach JV, back up. Hello. What's going on, bro? What's going on? So what was I going to look for here? Oh, I was going to see about the White House. See if anything's on there. Yeah, it will, won't it? It definitely will run late. So, no, we're not tired of winning yet. Okay. Bro, come on. We're not tired of winning, Donald. We're not tired of winning either. My Bitcoin portfolio says that we're not tired of winning. Oh, bro, what the heck? Come on, Don. Okay, yeah, so there's nothing on there as it stands at the minute. Okay. So there is a thread here. State of the Union is strong. Members across America show President Trump is delivering safer streets, stronger communities, and renewed American dream. Okay, cool. All right. This is just all kind of just prelude, let's call it. Prelude to the main event. Trump very rarely talks about crypto in his speeches. It's usually all about how he stopped immigration, brought loads of money into the country, and created loads of jobs and stopped wars. I think that's true as well. That's true. Wizard says it's better not to have the Clarity Act till it's a fair deal for rewards and yields. For stablecoins, don't want to sign a bad deal. Yeah, I agree. I think what's important, though, they have worked hard a bit. We know that Trump's come in and said, the banks, you need to sort your shit out, all right? So, yeah, hopefully we get there. I think what's interesting, though, is you look at, like, Coinbase, for example, and they're going way more TradFi now than DeFi, which is kind of interesting. So, it's kind of interesting. Right. Oh, God, Chuck Schumer's talking here. Keir Starmer says, stronger rights at work, better protection for renters, delivered by Labour. Yeah, stronger rights at work, just not good, Keir Starmer. You don't know what you're doing. What was I looking for? I was looking for something on here. I can't think what I'm looking for now. Oh, Coinbase. So they've gone way more TradFi, which is super interesting, isn't it? So Coinbase, here, look. 7 hours ago, trade stocks around the clock, 24/5, trading zero commission, one unified portfolio for stocks and crypto. Buy fractional shares for as little as $1. Now available in all eligible US traders on Coinbase. Interesting. 8,000 stocks and a 24/5 trading one app. Yahoo Finance. So, yeah, interesting. I've never heard him talk about crypto, yeah. I talk about it as well. Good to listen to him. Hey, Coach JV backup. Why are you on the backup account? Hey, Supergirls in the building. What's going on? Welcome in. Magic Craig, you mentioned it in a rally or something not too long ago. What's that for? If you live in blue state, then tax you a lot and regulars everywhere. Yeah, the gas isn't $2, is it? Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I don't want to get too much into the politics of it, but it is pretty wild. It is pretty wild. Okay, so interesting right now here on BTC. Do we see a push down coming in the markets? That's the big question right now. My view is probably. What's the narrative that's going to push the markets up? Don't know right now, is if I'm dead honest. And the fact that we kind of have this move back up, rejected here on this upper trade line, back down to the 20 EMA. If I guess we get a bounce, maybe this turns out to be a little bit more optimistic. But yeah, I mean, the W pattern played out. In my opinion, you know, this might wick to the 50 as we've seen here on the 30-minute. And then I think we probably start to work our way down. Just my opinion, by the way. Just my opinion. Trump still talks about crypto. It's going to be in his speech. Whoa, oh, we should do like a bingo card, shouldn't we? We should have done a bingo card maybe, but hey, it is what it is. All right. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. General elections will change markets. Well, the bond market for sure. Definitely the UK bond market. Although they did just find $36 billion that they didn't know was there. It's like, oh, here's all your taxes. You got to fund the welfare state. We've got to do this. And then they go, oh, we found £30 billion. Didn't know where it was. It's like the incompetence sometimes of politicians is unbelievable. You are literally in charge of the entire fiscal policy of our country, and you somehow just don't know where $30 billion come from. Like £30 billion. Like, really? Like, how hard is it to track it? Get bloody, whatchamacallit? GoDaddy Sheets or whatever it's called. Anyway, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah, I think it could be pretty interesting in this country when we do, certainly the council elections. I mean, when do they start? May? Could be interesting. Thoughts on Pepe Node? I mean, the concept I like. I did a couple of videos on it. Has it launched yet? I haven't done anything on it for a while, but the concept of it, like mining, I liked, in fairness. So, yeah. I mean, I haven't checked it for a while. 2.7 million raised. As with anything like this, always research it, understand it. You know, it's a very high risk strategy going into any sort of pre-sale, but the concept is a little bit like, is it called roller coin or something? I remember roller coin being something similar. Yeah, I think so as well, Fairground. I think so as well. And you know what? They probably deserve it. If I'm dead honest, they probably deserve it. You cannot run. And the more and more I've kind of, you know, got into economics and finance as part of this channel and the journey we're all on, like, I'm all for helping people. You guys know that as well as I do. Like, I'm all for helping people. And I'm all for supporting people in need. What I'm not up for, though, is creating a welfare system that benefits only the few and not the masses. Like, it's insane. You can't have it. And this kind of idea and this concept of socialism is like literally lunacy, if you ask me. Like, you have to have an element of capitalism within any economy, and you have to have an element of socialism. If you don't, the two things simply don't work by themselves. If you have an inherently, you know, massive capitalist sort of society, then it's not good. The same can be said if you have a big socialist catalyst. It's just a disaster. Like, it's a disaster. So yeah. Do you know any songs from the group Devo? I don't think so. Don't think so. Complain when there's a budget surplus and complain when there's a budget deficit. No. I'm not complaining, by the way, when there's a surplus. I'm just saying I don't know where it's come from. And I'm saying I don't understand where it's come from. So what they can't do is say, we have a budget deficit. We need to increase taxes, which goes against the manifesto. We're getting political here and I don't want to. We're going to increase taxes. No one voted for tax increases. No one. To fund further welfare problems, all that kind of stuff, right? But then within 6 months, be like, oh, we found $38 billion. Okay, so you didn't have a deficit. You didn't have a deficit. There wasn't a problem. So why have you raised taxes? That's the issue I have. I don't have an issue paying my taxes. You guys know that. I don't have an issue with supporting people who need supporting. What I have an issue with is raise taxes because there's not enough money and then find enough money. That's not good. Like that's like when you buy a box of chocolates and you really like the coffee and the orange ones. So you deliberately make sure that when you hand the chocolates over, that they've been taken out of the bottom layer as well. You eat the top layer and you eat the bottom layer because you put them aside. And then when people want their ham, then you put them back in. All right. It's a little bit like that. That's what I don't like about it. If you want socialism, join the military. They will give you all the powdered eggs you want. There you go. You see. There you go. I remember last year Trump coins sucked a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. I love Devo. I'll have to take a look. I'll have to take a look. I will log into my crypto exchange and buy some Curtis. What are you buying? What are you buying? Smart Pete. Pete got close to 2 flare for that. Wow. Trump has the 3 of the longest State of Union. Just yeah, I can imagine it's going to be about. It'll be a good 2 hour, won't it? I mean, I heard lots of Democrats aren't going, which is kind of interesting as well. So yeah, 2 socialists, and we end up like China, where the citizens are like robots. You get house food, but work massive hours. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of wild. Like I said, I think you just have to have a balance, and if you end up one side versus the other, then it generally doesn't work out. That's just my view. All right, my view, and I'm sticking to it, people. All right, doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It's just my view. What's Cadbury's share? I have no idea. What are Cadbury's shares right now? I don't trade the stock market. I've been to Cadbury's World though. It's great. Let's have a look. They are £70. Wow. They are £70 and actually have reported some significant gains over the last 6 months and the last year. Holy shit. Like Cadbury's is going wild right now. Cadbury's is actually going wild. Who would have thought that, eh? Did you speak about Zebek? Maybe missed it. No, I need to speak about that. Wow, good. Well done for reminding me. Big partnership. Who would have called this partnership, by the way? Who would have called Zebek and Canton Network as a partnership? Like, that's pretty wild if you ask me. That is pretty wild. So, yeah, I mean, could be a good news story. Specifically how this one plays out. It's why I was saying to, did Craig sell his Canton? But yeah, we're seeing more and more as kind of, partnerships being built out, specifically between Zebek and equally between Canton as well. So yeah, very interesting stuff, by the way. Very interesting stuff. Sorry, you guys have to listen to that. Where is it? Tuning into Hot Wheels. Yeah, here we go. Look. February the 23rd. Zebek Network with Lattice, the first neobank on Canton. We're partnering with Lattice Finance, the first neobank built on Canton Network. This marks Zebek's entry into the Canton ecosystem, bridging real-time payments and card infrastructure to institutional-grade blockchain finance. We're excited to begin actively supporting the next phase of compliant on-chain capital markets. Pretty interesting, if you ask me. Pretty interesting. Where does that look in terms of price? About 6.8%. Nice little mover and groover here on Zebek. Like we said, it's one that, I mean, I've sold out of this position. I'm not in it at all. I got out, but very much an interesting idea. And then I think, Canton being where it is could be an undervalued coin as well. 1.31% down on the day. I think these two could definitely be some interesting ones. And we've talked about Canton a number of times as well. Here on the channel, we actually called a couple of these moves. So yeah, could be interesting. Could be interesting. And, could start this broader build out, launching the Lattice card program, the first MasterCard debit card in the Canton ecosystem. Like, think about that. You got MasterCard on the Canton network, baby. They're not messing about. Native Canton SCC support, stablecoin funding and settlement, custom onboarding for Lattice users, 0 sign-up and no recurring fees, purpose-built to unlock real-world spending across the Canton ecosystem. Pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting. I will never ever trust a brand new coin. I mean, how long's it been out now? I don't think it's that new, is it? Canton's been out a few months now. It's always worthwhile seeing what it does. I mean, generally speaking, you get this kind of pump, dump, and move. But when did it launch? It launched back in November of 2025. So, what's it done? Nearly 4 months. The Zebek super app comes out tomorrow as well. Nice. I mean, if you argue that, yeah, Canton's going to be kind of this, XRP competitor, privacy network, could be interesting. I mean, it's definitely in a downtrend right now. So, I mean, arguably, Craig, you might have actually done a decent idea to get out. If you think about that as, as a potential downtrend on Canton here. May get a bounce if we get, towards the sort of back end of this. But yeah, I mean, it's still pretty big news. Pretty big news if you ask me. Bullish. Right, if you haven't already hit the like button, do hit the like button, by the way. Obviously, the stream was a bit weird, and it's still chopping out a little bit in terms of drop frames, so I don't really know why, but Like I said, if you haven't hit the like button or hit the subscribe button, I highly recommend doing that. Likewise, here on TikTok, if you haven't hit the follow button and tapped a few likes, I would appreciate it. Would appreciate it. I held it longer than November. Yeah, Midnight will take that role. I mean, Midnight's another, again, I don't know what the price is on Midnight, but I think he's been doing pretty well. But yeah, Zebek definitely one to keep an eye out for, in my opinion, by the way. Monero's starting to rally just a marginal bit. Zcash, we talked about Zcash as the potential. You know, this sort of idea that this is sort of, you know, this is kind of playing out may end up doing what we've been talking about, this descending wedge here on Zcash. Does it get another run? Maybe, you know, if people start freaking out about the fact they want privacy on there, you know, may end up being pretty interesting. Trump's speech won't move the markets. By the way, it will be, yeah, I don't think it'll be good at all, actually. It's probably maybe 3 times for a few seconds the entire stream. Oh, no, all right, cool. Yeah, I've dropped 5,500 frames, but I'm normally about 8,000 kbps. I'm about 6,900, so not fully bullish, but yeah, it is what it is. I can just tell we had quite a few dropouts from, you know, we wicked up to like 90 people and then something went wrong, dropped down to 68. So a little bit of a lower stream count this evening, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, let's take a look at the futures markets real quick while we're here. That does not help. 2-bit. Oh my God. I can't type. I can't type. There we go. So, wow. Holy crap. Look at that. The Dow is predicting to be 355 points up. This S&P up 48. Maybe they're pricing in like something bullish on Trump's State of the Union speech. Feels like it, doesn't it? 261 on the NASDAQ, 28 on the Russell. Asia doesn't look particularly wonderful. As does, well, look, New York Stock Exchange, Russell 2000, all look like the US indices may open up favorably. Now, what's interesting, though, is we saw this exact setup yesterday, and Asia dumped the market, and so did the Europeans, actually. So, yeah, I mean, this could be pretty bearish. I mean, look at that, nearly 2% on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and then the US comes back in and buys the bottom. I mean, maybe. I mean, that's a pretty big number. 260 on the fair value futures on the Nasdaq is pretty wild, if you ask me. Pretty wild. That little Pepe buy I did yesterday has turned out to be okay. Flat on the day. Bonk, not so much. Negative 1.5%, but yeah, pretty out there. Pretty out there. Bitcoin trying to rally once again. So this 20-day EMA line is proving to be a little bit of a challenge here. But hey, if it's holding, it's holding. You know, maybe get another little rally back to the upside here, 64. By the way, if you don't know, I did check this out. So we may do this back end of the stream or, well, maybe Friday or something. BitUnix has now implemented grid trading on their platform. So maybe we take a look at that at the back end of the week. Also, the Chart Prime AI stuff should be live over the course of the next couple of days. So I got confirmation that everything's set up. Everything's good to go. I just totally forgot what my password is. So I need to go and find that and take a look at it. But we may do something Friday. What's my diary look like on Saturday? 1 second. Just trying to think. Is my missus is out at some point. So if she's out on Saturday, I might do a stream. Oh, no. No, it's not this Saturday. Is it next Saturday? So no. All right. Well, maybe we do something Friday that might be AI trading, grid bot trading, like how you set it up, all that kind of stuff. Maybe. All right, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what the market looks like as we sort of walk towards that. Might be good news. Maybe kind of interesting to see what's going on. All right, I like the format of the show. You got that down pretty consistent. Fat Sonic, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, God, the thing about the stuff we used to do on the show, I used to go live and talk through the entire coin market cap, like top coins. Do you remember that? And then we'd just talk about some complete nonsense. We'd have 3 races of marbles in the, bro, it was wild. It was wild. And the live streams are pretty good. Like, yeah, the live streams feel like they've got a really consistent audience base. The videos are the hard bit right now. Lucas says, evening, what's your latest thoughts on BTC and Ethereum? They're going down, in my opinion. Your diary, what you got on Polypod? No, this is my work phone. So I literally have like, we have a joint house diary, so I know what's going on with like my missus and obviously what's happening with my job, like where I'm going to be. So yeah, mate, if I didn't have a diary, I'd be knackered. I would actually be knackered. So yeah, I have to have a diary. And so what if I got a Polly Pocket, eh? What does it matter to you, bro? I'm only kidding. No, I don't think so. More moments. I don't think so. I think we go a bit lower personally. I think 55 to 60K is my price range. I might be wrong, but yeah, that's just my price range. Sui broke below that support line that we talked about yesterday, by the way. So we were discussing where could Sui go. Did now break that support line. So yeah, look, my view is 78 cents is next. And then I think we come down here. So 70 cents for the potential low on Sui might be good news. But broke that support line exactly as we thought it would. So yeah, pretty interesting here. And we haven't been wrong about some of this. Obviously, lots of people said we were crazy people saying that, look, you're going to get another bite of the cherry. BTC is going to come down again. Everyone was like, oh, no, I don't think it is. We got the bounce. We're going crazy. Here we go. Yep. Turns out that wasn't the case. Yeah, by the way, I don't think it's far off. And yeah, the bottom I do think is close, by the way. But yeah, my biggest concern is just too many red candles in BTC in a row. Yeah, look at it. I mean, this is on the 12-hour chart. So, you know, arguably on the daily candles, I mean, it's bad news. Like, we've had 4 days of consistent selling. I mean, a reversal's got to come in at some point, but, you know, we've seen way more. We've seen, you know, look at this. You know, you think about this top. We looked at this yesterday to the bottom. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, you know, 28 days, of which in that entire 28 days, 5 were green. That's 23 days of selling. Going massive long when Sui breaks 80. Ooh, I like it. Like it. You should, yeah, should have a rally before the low. Yeah, potentially. You know, potentially on BTC, you could get, you know, it wouldn't surprise me, by the way, if we don't see this kind of wick down into this range that we've been talking about here. And actually then you sort of get this bounce and this sort of push back up. You know, maybe that wouldn't surprise me one bit, in fact. And then, you know, you get this because they want to trap late shorts, they'll want to trap early longs, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking a possible tiny bit of relief, but I don't think we've bottomed overall yet, in my opinion. Lucas, I think you're absolutely nailed on. I think you're absolutely right. You're aligning perfectly to, you know, my theory and lots of people on the channel's view as well. So yeah, I reckon you pretty much got that on the money, mate. So good. All right, everybody. We've been live for an hour, nearly an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, this stream yet again. I mean, honestly, I don't know where these streams go sometimes. I feel like I come live. I come live early as well. Like, not a lot, but I come live early by like 5 minutes. And before I know it, the stream's over. So if you did get some value out of this stream and you thought it was worthwhile, please consider hitting the like button and hitting the subscribe button. It massively helps out. All of that engagement, analytics stuff helps push the channel. Remember, this year I'm really trying to transition from a normal 9-to-5 job into doing this full time. So if you enjoy it and you get some value out of it, show your appreciation, hit the like button, hit the follow button, and make sure you turn the notification bell on. Remember, every day of the week, I am here with the exception of Saturday, 9 p.m. UK time, that's 4 p.m. Eastern, talking about markets, diving deeper than I think other channels do. We're even in the world now where we're starting to get really nailed on from a technical analysis point, and equally, we've got one of the best, if not the best communities out there. We're merging TikTok and the heroes over there with the absolute OG-ness of YouTube. So I appreciate your time. As always, it does mean the absolute world to me that you guys even just care to turn up every night and listen to me rabbit on for an hour and a bit. So shout out to everybody. Don't forget, tomorrow night, we'll be back. Double stream on TikTok tomorrow. We'll be live with Vern, hopefully Waddy and Daniel and anyone else that wants to join us. It'll be a great, great show, but we'll be back with all the latest and greatest in cryptocurrency. Watch out. State of the Union. It's 2 a.m. UK time. It's 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's not going to do anything in the markets, but market futures may be what you want to keep your eyes out for. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.